Everybody, welcome back. We got another WandaVision video recapping episode 8. Only one episode left for the finale. Lots to talk about, lots to theorize, what's going to happen, how it's all going to culminate. Mike and Eddie here as always, so let's get right into it. Oh, dude. Dude, if that happens, I swear. Oh, man. I mean, look. Oh, Mike, you even saying that is like, I feel my heart like raging.
That's going to upset so many people.
Bring me Wolverthor! All right, guys. So, episode 8, we got it behind us. You know, we talked a lot about it. One of the things that we talked about last week is this might be a flashback episode. Kind of a flashback episode. You know, really kind of walking through all that. As far as flashback episodes go, personally, I thought it was as good as it could be. You know, a lot of those kind of ones, they're just like, this is semi-irrelevant. Why are we doing these? It's almost like a filler episode. This definitely didn't feel that way, so I was happy about that. You know, we start off with kind of, with Agatha in Salem. What was it, 16 something, right? I don't know. What was your...
It was like the 1600s or some odd.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it was right around there.
So, Mike, what was your kind of takeaway from everything that was happening with her kind of going through with all those witches and some of the comments that kind of they were saying to each other? What do you think was going on there?
Yeah, so the way that how that started, it seemed like the entire time there were points where she was playing, Agatha was like almost seemingly like she was the victim and she wanted help, but I think she was like messing with them the entire time.
Really?
Like, right. It almost seemed like she was being like sarcastic about it. Like, oh, I didn't mean to do this. And then just wanted, I think she wanted to like suck the life out of him. And, you know, I don't know her, it didn't really go into what her deep plans were, but it seemed like she kept going back and forth. And even I think her mom, or I think they said it was her mom, well, she was like, stop playing games, like be real with us. And you kind of see her like turn on and be like, this is really who I am. And then she like takes everyone's power. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool how they ended up doing it. Yeah, it was a cool start to kind of how it went out. I liked it.
Eddie, did you kind of see it the same way out of curiosity?
I did. There were a lot of moments where it seemed like she was kind of messing with them, because she would give like this little like grin or kind of like smile, and every so often, and it made you feel like, yo, she's playing you, like she's playing you already. And so when they put those kind of like magical kind of cuffs on her, I was like, she's gonna get out of those. That's not even a question. Like, if the power that she is talking about is out of her control, there's no way she's going to stay tied to this post. It's just not going to happen. And so when she finally broke free and, you know, she was start draining everybody's powers and, you know, aging them by like what, hundreds of years. I mean, it was insane. And so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, I'll hit on this later as we go through, but I do want to say there's something inside of me that differs from both of you guys, and I might be grasping at straws, and I seem to tend to do that a little bit with the show, to be honest with you. But part of me is, you know, while she did have those sarcastic looks, part of me picked up on the moments where she said she couldn't control it and was asking for help. And tied to a couple other things that I'll touch on as we go later, I might fall on the other side of the fence on it. And when I get there and I share it with you guys, I definitely want to get your opinions on it, because I do think, I don't know, I want to know if I'm crazy, or at least what you guys think, or if I can convince you that what I'm saying might be real or not. So, but I also loved the scene. I thought it was great. I loved, you know, how she was there, and like, you know, they were all shooting the blue magic at her, and then all of a sudden it just turns purple, and like you guys said, she just basically engulfs their powers, you know, and they immediately turn old, and, you know, she takes her, I think it was her mom's, and I forget, I did some research on who her mom might be. I don't think it's anything like critical, but, you know, she did seem to be some super powerful witch, and it was interesting. At first I was like, what's that blue crown going over her head? And like, I think I'm looking too much into this. Let's not stress too much about it. But there was definitely some stuff. It
was kind of a similar crown, though. I mean, like, if you just to not to cut you off, but if you look at the crown that she made when she was trying to cast down onto Agatha, it kind of looked similar to the Scarlet Witch's crown too. Like, every witch seems to have that crown that has like that kind of like
something
that kind
off
of
the
like
edge.
look.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's weirdly related. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just, you know, it just looked very specific.
Yeah, I feel you. So shortly after that, we get back into the basement of Agatha's house. She makes some more accent jokes to Scarlet Witch, obviously, or who we'll just call Wanda for now. Spoiler or foreshadowing. So which I always get a little bit of appreciative. I mean, it's not really, we don't have to focus on that, but in my mind, we start seeing kind of Agatha trying to figure out what's up with Wanda and how, who she is, how strong she is. Eddie, what were your kind of, when you were watching these scenes and kind of as that was all going down at the start of it before they started doing the Ghost of Christmas Past journey, what did you think of kind of what's going on there? You pick anything up?
What I found interesting was that like she talked to Wanda as if she just had these powers. Like she's like, I've been doing this for years, and I had to work to get like this level of magic, and you just seem to have it. Like I don't understand, like where did it come from? And then she was curious about how she was able to expand it in such a way that it took over a whole town. I think in some ways there's a jealousy there from Agatha as far as Wanda's powers, because she had to really work, and then Wanda just was kind of giving hers, which again we'll get into later, but I don't think hers were given to her. They were just kind of expanded to some degree. And I think Agatha is looking for that key to get hers to be at that level. Even though she's been working for so long, she's not there yet. And I think she wants that from Wanda. And I think that's why the Darkhold is there. I think that's why she's in Westview to begin with, which again, we'll get into later.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I got from the scene.
Yeah, no, I feel that was one of the things that I kind of was just like, you are clearly jealous of what's happening here. So... I don't know. Mike, did you, what do you think of Agatha's motivations here? Figure it out, jealous, what?
I think it's a little mix of both. I mean, even there was one part at the very beginning where Wanda goes to like use her powers, and she's like, don't you know you can't use your powers in like this hex?
Yeah. Right.
And Wanda gave her a look like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's almost as if Agatha knows that Wanda's dealing with magic, but Wanda doesn't realize it's magic. It's like power, like it's just straight power.
Right.
So there's no magic side to it, because she showed all these symbols that were in her lair, and Wanda's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Just like, sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Fudge, you're talking about. But it was really like she was like, I just do what I want when I need my power, and that's how it comes from. So I think it's definitely for Agatha, definitely curiosity, definitely jealousy, definitely wants to know how strong she is and how she got that strong, whether that's someone giving her the power or something along those lines, and then obviously they start going down the wormhole. But she definitely wants to know how she is that powerful, because I think she wants to be that powerful.
Yeah, I think you guys are nailed that. I really do. I mean, she clearly, Agatha, meaning like, how do you know this basic stuff? And she even, I think she starts talking about transmutation. She does it with the locusts, which we talked about that last week. I think the locusts were just there for her to change into little things or whatever. But so yeah, right. And so Agatha's just kind of going through the like, well, it could be this, it could be that. How do you do this? And Wanda clearly is like, I have no clue. It's like, when you got athletes somewhere, where it's like, all right, there's this athlete who's like worked their whole life to try to get somewhere, and then someone just like walks out in the field and just dominates just because they're naturally amazing, and that's kind of the juxtaposition there a little bit. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely, I agree with you. And by the way, what's up with the friggin' bunny eating the bird? Like,
dude,
honestly.
I mean, I know we're going.
I want to know this rabbit is so badly, dude.
I don't know.
Honestly, I'm sitting there going, wild. Is this her son? Is this like some demon? Like, what the hell? I mean, it just was like straight up like, I wanted to go frame by frame to see if like some weird mouth opened, kind of like what's the cat's name in Captain Marvel? With the big tentacles or whatever.
Yeah, the Florkin.
Yeah, the Florkin. You know what I mean? I was just like, okay, like, I'm not sure what that's all about, but yeah, there's something up with that bunny. I don't know what it is, but I'm not sure they'll ever really touch on it, because you could literally leave it as it just was this weird bunny she did, like, but
I think
it's just so intriguing that she has. So wait, say it again.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think it might be Ralph.
There's a good chance. And I mean, Ralph has been mentioned a couple times in this show. So I feel like part of me we need to see him at some point, but there's no way that this rabbit isn't important. I mean, they've been in almost every episode. Like I don't know how, like you can't have something like that just kind of be, oh, we just had it because whatever, like and then write it off. I
can't got some Lost Riders on it. Yeah, that would be like Lost.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'd be slightly annoyed, but if they delivered on a lot of the other stuff, I could let it go. I could see Marvel picking it up in like Multiverse of Madness too, you know, where it was just kind of like,
right.
All right, that's what that bunny was. Who knows? You know what I mean? They pay back things later.
But I would want some kind of like mid-credit scene to be like, hey, by the way, this is gonna happen. Like with, and then they show like a little bit of the bunny. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, like it starts to transform or something. So you at least see like, all right, this thing's turning back into whatever its regular self is, or you know, and then we can sit here and talk about what is it? What is it? Could it be this? Could it be that?
The bunny is the new black cat of the Matrix.
Yeah. I could see
it's
it.
A glitch, guys. It's a glitch.
Yeah. Let's see. So then we got Fietro, I think she called it, which I love. So we got some clarity on the fact that Agatha's saying that that was all her. So that he could be literally nothing, which I found kind of interesting. But he still had powers, which I was kind of like, oh, okay, I could let that one go, but he felt a little bit more strong. And she just said that he was her eyes and ears, so she could again try to figure out what was going on with Wanda. And we already talked about how she went over the spell, and then it became this, like I said, this the journey of Christmas Goes Past or whatever, where she just starts going through time. And the first thing that they go into is Sokovia.
So good.
And this was one of my favorite parts personally, like, and I won't dive into it quite yet, but Eddie, like with this first scene, what were your takeaways? You know, tell us what you saw.
I would have loved if they had shown this in Age of Ultron, because it would have been better to see rather than having them tell a story through the movie. I get why they did it. Maybe they didn't know they were going to do this, but now that we're here, I thought it was adorable. Honestly, I love that scene because it shows you that like it shows you like everybody when they were kids, they were just this innocent family that got caught up in this war that was happening like literally outside their window. And they live a very humbled life. You know, like the father sells he sells old TV DVDs and just to get by, and you know, like the kids enjoy them if he doesn't sell them, so they get to bring them home and still enjoy them as a family. It wasn't about the money. It was just about like the sense of family. Yeah. And so you're sitting there and you're watching this family just enjoy this old Dick Van Dyke episode, and then all of a sudden, like an explosion happens, the bodies go flying, and you're like, whoa, like what just happened? And then you're like, oh yeah, and then like they're sitting underneath the bed, and then the shell hits, and then you're like, oh, and then she puts her hand out, and then it just cuts, and you're like, ah, like there was so much happening for such an elegant scene to end so like aggressively. It was just like, man, that was okay. And then you really understand what Pietro was talking about when he was telling Ultron the story of how they survived in Sokovia. So, but yeah, that was a deep scene. I loved it personally.
Mike, what were your takeaways from this one?
Yeah, same. It was almost, and I now that you mention it, that they only talked about it. They never like had any sort of flashback in Ultra. Like, it was a very good like putting it in your mind how it looked. I thought it was very cool, and also every DVD was basically every episode.
You see the Malcolm in the Middle DVD
that we've had.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Which I thought was a very cool, not Easter egg, but it kind of now all made sense, and it went down the line chronologically of how it started to where we're at now. But also thought it was and also I think kind of what we talked about before is each memory also had to do with those commercials.
Right.
So
right.
So like the Stark thing, all these things, like they all tied in for each one at the same time. So everything is kind of coming together. But I thought that first scene was very good. If they had done that in the movie, I thought it would have been also very good, but different.
Lovely.
I mean, they wouldn't have done it as well, but I'm glad they did it here. But it was definitely a cool scene, especially the part, like you said, Eddie, where she reaches out to touch it and then it like goes away. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I actually, because there's the way that the Wanda's story arc has gone over the course of the MCU, I personally liked that it waited this far, because you think about these two kind of like side characters for all the MCU. Granted, we know, like anybody who follows the comics knows, they're both extremely powerful. You know, we never got, outside of really Vision getting built a little bit, you know, we didn't get a whole lot of backstory outside of, like you guys said, some things that showed up. I loved seeing this, and it did connect so much to me between the commercials and these sitcoms that she's living through, because that was like her happy place, you know, and it was like, she's like, all right, this is when I was happiest, when I was with my family. You know, we were all around, we'd watch these shows in this like war-torn country. I loved it. I also really liked how they were kind of alluding to the fact that I'm pretty much saying that it's like Wanda had her powers when she was a kid, which means like the Mind Stone might have done something, but it wasn't like she was a mutant, you know what I mean? So like I'm interested to see kind of how that shakes out. I'm still not ready to let go the fact that those are her real parents. I think that we might end up seeing something with adoptive parents, Magneto, coming into play or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, I love that one. It was really kind of a heartfelt scene that, you know, showed a lot, and then showed that my biggest takeaway from it was also that she had her power. So I dug that one for sure. Next,
I do want to.
Go ahead, Eddie.
I do want to talk about the idea that you said that she's a mutant. We'll get there, but I do want to. I do have a theory on that as well. Sorry,
yeah, hit it. You want to hit it now, or you want to save it for a different spot?
We'll save it for a different spot. I think it's coming up soon anyway, so we're good.
Okay, cool. The next jump was the Hydra test. You know, which obviously, I just mentioned the Mind Stone. And there's a silhouette that comes through. We'll talk about this a little bit, Mike. I don't know. I want to hear a little bit from you on this one. Like, what were your takeaways from the Hydra scene, the Mind Stone scene, the Flash, all that kind of stuff?
The coolest part to me, I think, was it was, you know, kind of what her power, similar to Age of Ultron, where she shows, you know, Tony the future of what it would be if Thanos comes and they're all dead and things like that. Yeah. She kind of got her own version of that, like her future and her power, and like the light where she's there, kind of. And I think we talked about it via text, but it was very much like Phoenix style, you know, like she, you know, her outline and as like this super being. So I think it kind of like showed her what she was meant to be or going to be. Even if it was that quick, but it was pretty interesting that she was one of the only people, at least they said in that little thing, that survived being a part of that, having it touch them. So it was, you can see how much power she has, even dealing with all the Infinity Stones. Obviously the Mind Stone hasn't come into play, but yeah, I thought it was a super cool scene, and you know, also shows why she was so messed up in the very beginning, because she was like a prisoner basically. Yeah, no, for sure.
Eddie, where you at on this thing?
I love this scene again. So she comes in, she's dilapidated, she's like just destroyed, emotionally, physically, she's just beaten. And when she walks in, like the Mind Stone in its case, and just kind of jumps out of the scepter and kind of just confronts her like it's a like it was an entity. It was weird. And then she touches it, it opens up, and then you see this beaming light, and then you see like a silhouette of what looks to be Scarlet Witch from the comics, you know, like the horns, and she has the whole like outfit on, and it makes you think that like I don't how do I put this properly? So I don't think she has powers. I think she's actually a witch, and I think that the Scarlet Witch is like, I wrote in my notes, the Scarlet Witch is like it's like an entity, kind of like the Phoenix Force. So I think that was just in her to start, and then like with the Mind Stone being the way that it is, it kind of just like amplified those powers, kind of like the Phoenix. It just kind of like brought heightened them to like 100. But yeah, I mean that scene was great, and then it was also weird how like all that happens, but all that the scientists saw was her stepping and then her on the ground, and it was very similar to those jump cuts that. Yeah, I thought it was great, and it was very similar to those jump cuts they had in the first two or three episodes. Like you never see what happens in between those pieces. It's just this moment and then this one, and you're like, well, where's the cut? And it was kind of cool. That was kind of the same as the show, and then that moment as well. And there's a scene in Age of Ultron when he's talking to Pietro and Wanda, And he asked, you know, like, I always wonder why you two survive struggles experiments, and now I know why. And you're like, well, that's the reason why, because they have some sort of gift, and then the Mind Stone saw something in them, I guess, to give them this particular power or this ability. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Are you guys able to see my screen? I'm not sure if you're able to see my screen right now or not.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that on Reddit where someone not Photoshop, but like extracted
Enhanced
the picture.
Yeah.
She looks super badass in that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what these things are off to the left of the image, but clearly there's something on the belt that they're trying to enhance. I don't know, but like, if this is allegedly true and that is what was there, you know, I do love what's happening here, because I do think you guys are, I mean, it's just the Phoenix style type thing. Could be some time travel with this. That's just like her making sure that the Mind Stone basically gets put into Wanda, because she knows that it'll get destroyed. I mean, and this is where I think some crazy loop stuff could happen, is that Wanda in the future knows that the Mind Stone got destroyed, right, which in turn caused Vision to die. So in the future, she could then time travels back to this moment, make sure that the Mind Stone can stay in Wanda, and then maybe we actually get a Vision, and we'll talk about this later in the episode, that sticks around, because she gave her this Mind Stone power, which really was kind of, you know, at the crux or heart of, you know, what his creation was. So anyway, kudos to, you know, it looks like Wanda's cape or somebody who put that thing together on Twitter. So I just wanted to flash that real quick. So
yeah, super sick.
Yeah, I loved it. Now, when that scene kind of wraps up with Agatha saying, you know, she's seen a lot, she's seen what she's going, but she has a theory, but she needs to see more. So then we jump to the Avengers compound. And it's the first time Wanda's ever been alone, and she starts bonding with Vision. So Eddie, take me through this scene a little bit. Your thoughts?
Again, great scene. I mean, all three of these flashbacks really gave us a look into the things that we all kind of speculated but didn't really know about Wanda. And this scene was very similar to the scene in, I guess it was Civil War, when Cap's talking to Wanda and Vision kind of phases through the wall, and like, so like that explains where that kind of came from. And you kind of get a real sense of their relationship, because you saw a spark in Age of Ultron when he saves her before Sokovia explodes, and then when you actually get to see them sitting here together, Vision is the most innocent person on this planet. Innocent sentient being on this planet. He doesn't know emotions yet. He's still learning, and so everything he's saying is coming from the heart, because he doesn't know how else to kind of be. So everything he's saying to Wanda is just how he feels, and it's wonderful to be able to see their connection fully. And he's trying to connect with her, and she's trying to understand him. And then he does that great line about like,
yes,
what is grief without is it love persevering? Is that what it is?
What is grief?
Yeah, grief is love persevering.
Yeah,
right. And that's elegant, man. Like, that's great. And then she takes a second to kind of take in what he said, and then she kind of sees in him something special. And then I think that was kind of the spark of their relationship. And I don't know, it was just a really, those three vignettes were like just fantastic scenes. I love them.
That line, I was like, that line was so elegant. I was like, dang,
dude,
Vision.
Yeah, I even wrote that down.
I was like, I need to use that.
Yeah.
Like, somehow.
Dude, that's one of those lines like where just, I don't know, it stays with you. You know what I mean? You're like, you could apply that line to real life and being like, you know what?
Like, I want to Google and see who actually, like, if no one ever said that, like whoever wrote this episode, like, should
legit
write like a book of love.
Dude, I 100% agree, because I was just like, that is some of the deepest stuff I've ever, like, that's legit real. Like, you're right. And you never thought about it like that way. And I'm like, oh my God. So like, yeah, I absolutely, I think Agatha even shedded a tear on that one. So Mike, you got anything else to add on that scene in general?
Yeah, she did do it like this.
Yeah,
no,
I know.
I'm with Eddie, where because for me too, it felt like, obviously there was like little snippets of progression on their relationship in the movies, but you never got to see how they actually went from like love, like, you know, hiding away together. So I thought it was a very cool scene where, you know, Wanda is, you know, distraught, and basically the person who's the least human is the one that makes her feel the most human again.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
That's
that makes
interesting.
it's a cool correlation because he's, like you said, he's a being who has no emotion and is simple, but he can make her feel normal again.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very cool way they did it.
Yeah.
And a throwback to him phasing in and out of her wall.
I know.
That's great. Yeah.
I know. Such a small thing, but it did. It's just like, man, Marvel, you really do kind of link stuff together. Good on you.
I do.
Yeah. So
Kudos.
yeah, and then Agatha continues to push, asking Wanda how she's doing all of this, you know, and that Vision was gone, but she wanted him back. And then it cut to the sword base, and it was like, okay, so I feel like we got to kind of start with Mike here because of his, you know,
Hatred for Hayward.
yeah, basically. So
Because I've been right this whole time.
yeah, you seem like you've probably been headed in the right direction, I'd say. I mean, so yeah, what do you got to say about this, Mike?
I'm glad we got to see what was really the security footage.
Yeah.
Hayward's a mean man. He's the worst. He's the worst human ever. I've been right this whole time. All
right, Mike, Mike knows all for sure.
But it was very cool to see that, you know, it wasn't her just barging in there. I know we had like a lot of talks being like someone's controlling her to do it or it wasn't her. You know, we got to see that really was her, and she just wanted to, like, which was super depressing. She just wanted to bury it. She wanted to have a few. And then she sees him. It was almost like, I don't want to call it heart-wrenching, but it was like, man, I can see why she just, like, is miserable, because everything she's trying to do, like, she can't do. All she wanted to do was bury him, and Hayward's being like, do you want to bury him or do you want to bring him back to life? And she's like, wait, what? I can't. You know, like it was a cool scene. Hate Hayward, and interesting that she didn't steal it, and that makes me wonder why Hayward keeps. We'll talk about it more, but Hayward just lies and lies and lies about everything. I mean, it was cool just to see what really happened in that, rather than you know, have those screen cuts and theories that we thought it was someone else. It was her, but it was for a whole different reason than what we thought. Yeah.
Eddie, did you have any additional takeaways, or is your hatred for Hayward growing as large as Michael's?
Oh, for sure. I mean that dude was a baddie from the jump. That's not a question. Just from the beginning. One thing I found kind of nice about it was she never got to bury Pietro, as far as I know. Right?
You didn't show
he died
it
on the rock,
technically.
and that was it.
Well, they brought him onto the transport, so he was technically they should have been able to, but he never technically shows it.
Yeah, she never got to, but like she never got to say goodbye. But like she's experienced 2 deaths in the course of a handful of movies. I mean, that's and by people that were like close to you, a relative, and then love. You know, it's just like, so, you know, to come there at peace and just be like, I just want to bury him, and just I just want to know that he's safe on the ground. And Hayward's like, I can't do that. And like, he's just, it felt like he was kind of playing her a little bit, like trying to get her to like see what trying to get her to see what she can do. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then when she busts through the window and you finally see the shot of her like coming down, and she just walks over to the body, and you get a nice callback to Infinity War when she touches his forehead and she goes, I just feel you, and then she puts her head there and she's like, I can't feel you, and you just see the tears. Like, it was such a good scene. Like, oh my, again, bro, like this episode was so good because it was so touching. She's like, I can't feel it, and then she just leaves. And you're like, yo, he manipulated the footage to make it seem like she just came in and stole the dude. And we'll get into this later, but I can't wait to talk about what we're going to see next. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're all good. Well, and this kind of leads us to where we're going a little bit, is then she gets, as she's leaving the facility, there's a deed in the car. Now, we talked about this a little bit, and I'm a little bit torn on this, whether it was there before or somebody put it there. When I watched it the second time, part of me wanted to say, like, she seemed a little surprised it was there, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it was there. So again, maybe grasping at straws here, but then she obviously goes to Westview. You see all of the town. It's kind of run down. The people seem pretty, you know, as they should be after the blip that, you know, in the snap that, you know, they're all coming back 5 years after, and the town's kind of run down. It goes through, you know, all the people that you see throughout. The mailman just seems to be some delivery dude. Doesn't seem to be anything special, but so it goes through that town a bit, and then she gets to the house, and it all kind of culminates there, really, where it's just kind of like, all right, she just breaks down and just loses it, and then you see that chaos magic just burst, and the whole town just gets engulfed, and it's like, oh my, and you could just see at that point where like you really start seeing stuff. So Eddie, like during this scene and all the things that are happening, from the deed to the house to how she starts creating things, the yellow vision, talk us through your thoughts a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that happens in such a small moment in time. Give us your walkthrough.
For sure. So when she gets back to the car after being denied access to take Vision's body, we see the deed, or we see the envelope on the passenger seat. Now, her reaction to it made it seem like she knew it was there. I don't think it was placed there. I think she already kind of already had it, and then she was just going to see what it was about. But I think she was going to try and get Vision's body first to bring with her to Westview, but she couldn't do that. So she's driving to Westview, and you see a handful of the people that were there. Like you see Phil, the guy who I think was married to Dottie. He's selling piano lessons now because I guess that's what he does now. And then you see Herb just walking the street looking like he's probably looking for a job. You see Mrs. Hart, who is sitting alone but is married in WandaVision. So you're assuming that either she was blipped and then her husband died in those 5 years, and then she came back. That's I'm assuming. And then you see Dennis, who's the delivery guy, who's also the mailman, the postman, and all. And then Presto was his delivery one from last week. He's Westview. He's a pizza delivery guy. But like you see this town, it's just like bad luck. I mean, it looks like Cleveland. Sorry. And I am curious though, like how the deed got into Wanda's possession. Like, was it from Vision or was it from someone else?
Right.
Because it's such a unique coincidence that like, hey, here's a deed to this dope house that we can die in. By the way, 2 doors down is a witch that has a dungeon downstairs. Might tie into the story later. It seemed very coincidental. And then once she has a callback again in Age of Ultron when Pietro dies, and she has that burst out moment. Like you got a sample of it there, but then you see it in its full effect in WandaVision. And so when she bursts out and creates the town, you're watching this whole thing transpire, and she's aging the town back like a handful of years. All these things change. She builds a house, and then she creates Vision. And I want to get Mike's opinion on this. So when she recreates Vision, there's a few things that I thought were interesting. One, he's a reflection of what a TV perfect, like the perfect TV sitcom life would be. Like that's like this is your TV husband, right? So that's one thing. Also, is it real or is he a reflection of life? Because when he becomes curious of Wanda in like the later episodes, is that because of her manipulating him, or is that because he's autonomous? Like how does that work? And then 3, they share a connection through the Mind Stone, right? So when she creates them, it's like it's a yellow beam of light, and she's creating the entity of Vision. It's what's interesting to me is that in Age of Ultron, when they're comparing the Mind Stone and Vision's AI is yellow, and then the Mind Stone's blue. So I found that kind of weird. But then when the Mind Stone breaks out of the casing, then obviously it's yellow. So when she creates Vision, it's from the Mind Stone, but it's also ironic that's also Jarvis's color too in Age of Ultron. I mean, that we get a sense of what happened, and that's great. But I still have a handful of questions. Mike, you wanna?
Yeah, Mike, where you at?
Yeah, I think all the theories that we've like tried to talk about of if someone was manipulating her, if someone created this area, I think we're basically coming to the point where this is all Wanda, right? She basically exploded from call it a broken heart. And again, the deed thing, I'm somewhat on the side of Eddie, where when she saw it in the car, I think she knew it was there, but I don't think she knew what was in it, because when she opened it, she looked super surprised of what it was. So I don't know if like, and maybe we get this on the next episode, like Vision left it in his last will, like this was like gonna be a surprise sort of thing. But I thought it was, it's all her. Like she's the hex creator. She's doing everything, and it exploded out of her body. It was super cool. When Vision was created, the yellow, I thought that was awesome. And I think basically it went kind of like what we saw when she was a little girl. She created the world to start from Mary Tyler Moore. Like that's who, you know, that was the first episode, the 1950s or whatever year, you know, family life. That is what she projected to start out with. I think, especially when Vision was trying to leave the Hex a few episodes ago, I think, I don't know, I think he, and I again, this is a theory, but I think potentially this is also like her kids. He is only manifested. He might have powers and he might be able to do things, but I think it might be only relegated in the Hex that she's created.
Right.
Like she can create life, but within her own atmosphere. If
it's almost like she created an alternate dimension.
Right. Exactly. So I think he's a real person and definitely a reflection of how she remembers him and is a Vision. But I think it is only within this world, because even when he was getting sucked back in before she created a larger Hex, it looked like it was digitally coming off of, pieces were coming off him. It wasn't like he was being ripped back sort of thing, and he was like dying while outside there. So I think he is a living being in that world, but just in there. But it was definitely like an emotional part where she just exploded and was like, you know, doing this. And again, you don't know how powerful. I don't think she understands how powerful she is through this whole time. Like she just, it was almost like she had like, you know, like a good cry and just blew up the whole world.
Right.
Very true. No, you guys nailed pretty much like everything that I kind of saw with that. The yellow mind stone is really the biggest link that I saw there, but yeah, there's clearly some mass power going through Wanda, you know, and that's kind of where, you know, it cuts to next where Agatha's like, okay, so that's kind of how it shook out. And the next scene's when Wanda's in her house again and she hears her kids screaming in the street. Agatha's out there sitting in the street, floating, you know, 10 feet above with some magic whips around the kids' necks, you know, and just she starts calling Wanda. She's like, you're supposed to be a myth. You're supposed to be a spontaneous creation. And that you're using chaos magic, which makes you the Scarlet Witch. And then it's just scene. It's over, you know, and it's kind of like, okay, like what's about to go down here, right? So, you know, this is where it kind of gets into, well, I guess, let's talk about the mids. I mean, do you guys have anything to add in that small scene before I jump to the mid-credit scene? And then right after that, we'll do an overarching kind of discussion of what's next.
To me, and I don't know if it correlated that much, but I almost got a very similar vibe to kind of how in the very beginning, how Agatha was treated by her mom and her witches, being like, you have all this power, you can't do this. And it was like a role reversal where she was like, you have all this power, you can't do this. It was almost, I want to say like Agatha was like the Scarlet, maybe not the Scarlet Witch, but kind of like that vibe. And then it just ended up being the same way at the very end, because even the how she was holding her Wanda's kids were the same like string ties that she was tied up with by the other witches. So it was kind of a very mirrored sort of start and end in different capacities, where Agatha was the powerful one and now she's like meeting someone more powerful and being like, you have too much power.
Yeah. So
but that's how I took it on that.
Eddie, do you want to add more before I jump into I got some stuff to add there, but I want to hear what you've got.
Of course, yeah. I want to add a couple things. I'm not sure if it was just me, but did anyone notice that like when the twins were screaming when they were first in the dungeon versus when they were outside, it was like the exact same like voice, like the same cadence of like what they said. It was like, mom, help us. Like it was the same thing both in the dungeon and when they were strung up outside, which makes me assume that they were still strung up outside when this whole thing was happening. Anyway, like Mike said, it was a very unique ending because of the beginning, of the beginning of the episode. I thought it was a great tie, and it was a great like bookend for that to happen, because it shows a witch that's been doing this for years, and you see another witch who's powerful than you are, and you can't have this. And it was. I thought that was a great ending. I love how there was no please stand by for the credits. It was just like that was it. Like it was like episode done, and you're like, oh, because now we're in like the movie. Like we're not in like the we're not in WandaVision anymore. Like we're in this life now, and I like that a lot. There's I still think that there's a hidden villain that we're not seeing yet. That is kind of just pulling the strings. And I think that, or not pulling the strings, but kind of has like another kind of layer to this. And like I think that might be some of the big reveal, but we'll see. Yeah.
So I mean, this ties with some of the stuff that I kind of alluded to when we first started shooting, where just the way that the bookend analogy you both mentioned it, where it seems very similar to the first scene. And the thing I picked up when I watched this, I think just the second time, the movie or the show, this particular episode at least, was that I felt that same kind of similarity where I'm like, wait a minute, there's a chance Agatha might be good here. And that she does have some demon inside of her, which maybe she's not controlling, or she doesn't understand or control, or at least back when she was younger. And that was why the witches said, you can't mess with this magic while you're young. Maybe she defeated it, maybe she didn't, who knows? And then, you know, she seems genuinely concerned, like this you shouldn't exist, like this is not, you shouldn't be able to do this. And it's like I get the sense she's like there to stop it, not because like she's jealous or anything like that, but because she sees this as like a threat to something, where like this, I mean, again, I know that could be a stretch a little bit, but I'm like, I feel like what I could see is potentially happen between these two is they fight or whatever. And Agatha might realize like Wanda doesn't understand how this is happening. And I'm going to pull up a something behind us that,
Chthon.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, part of the story with Chthon is like, he's basically the one who creates, or he created the Darkhold. If you go through here, check out his wiki, you know, you'll see that he's got like chaos magic. And there's actually even a storyline at some point where he touches Wanda at birth and is the one that gives her that ability. So look, this dude is like a super elder god, whatever. Like, I'm not going to get into him like in depth, but one of the things that I really am wondering about is like, is there going to be a tie to a dude like this, and that somehow they realize, or Wanda realizes, or Agatha realizes, like this, she didn't understand her power. She didn't know how to control them. She didn't even really know she had them. And then all of a sudden there's going to be some kind of like, you know, I could see it being like a final cut scene to, you know, him, very similar to how Thanos was like, fine, I'll do it myself type of thing. He's like, you know what I mean? He's like, he tried to do it with Agatha. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe he tried to do it again with Wanda. It's not working. I don't know. But I loved how you guys said this bookend stuff and how it kind of tied together. Because that was the thing that I really kind of wanted to throw out there before we got off of this thing. And, you know, I don't know. There's a chance that I could see some of this going away that, you know, and when Eddie said another bad at play here, yeah, I think it could be. And I'm not sure I think it's Mephisto or Nightmare anymore, even though there's so many friggin' Easter eggs to that stuff like that. That's just sometime how the MCU does it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's where I'm at with that before we get into the cut scene. Am I nuts? Where are you guys at with, you know, kind of wrapping up that interaction and, you know, any potential for Chthon or another big bad here?
I feel like there just has to be one. Thank you. I feel like there just has to be one. And like, and to point out what Thor said earlier, like, there's a good chance that Agatha might actually be sort of like an anti-hero, I guess you could say. And that's super dope. If she is, she's just kind of misguided. And I feel like Wanda might be the way to kind of put her back into this. Because I mean, actually in the comics, Agatha's actually I think she's sort of good. Like she kind of like sits in the middle, but I think she leans more towards the good side. And so for her to be the way that she is right now is sort of like a misdirect. But I feel like there's a big bad at play that they're both kind of team up, maybe with Photon as well, Monica, and maybe fight this big bad, as well as another appearance that we're talking about, which we'll get to in a second. Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's going to be someone else involved. I know we've talked about, especially with, you know, on the casting list, it does have Ultron as a voice. I think part of me, because Hayward's so bad, I think Hayward might be Ultron because he wanted to create a vision. Like that was his goal from the very beginning. And when we talk about what happened next, there's conceptually that happening. But also, there's also the small part of me, especially going back to the deed thing, where I still think there could be a Mephisto or a nightmare in play because of like the little Easter eggs. Again, it could just be Easter eggs. They could be messing with us. But I mean, it could very well, that deed was like Wanda like sold her soul to Mephisto to be able to create this life sort of thing. And that was like the contract sort of thing. It's probably not, but there has to be someone else. But if it isn't, it's been an entertaining show and I'm fine with how they go. Yeah. But it does seem like there has to be one more guy or girl or something to not pulling the strings, just to tie everything together. But yeah. Agatha does seem kind of like she's been this whole time investigating the world rather than being like a bad evil person sort of thing. Right. I know she killed the dog, which isn't great, and she currently has the kids hostage, which also isn't great, but I think she's been doing it to be like what is happening in this world. Yeah.
I agree with you guys. Yeah, I'm like hyped for next week. Obviously we think it's 50 minutes. How much of that is credits? We don't know. We'll see. You know,
a good 6 minutes of that for sure.
30 seconds of credits.
Yeah, right.
30 seconds of credits. That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you need. It's not what we'll get.
Speed fast.
Yeah, right. So then we get to the cutscene, and you guys already alluded to it a little bit. The launch that Hayward was going to do was launching of what I'm calling, or what anyone calls the white vision. So you get that scene where it comes up on him. Eddie, just share your thoughts.
So the white vision is a nod to the West Coast Avengers in the comics. It was reassembled after, and I think he had his mind wiped as well. So that's kind of the same thing as what's happening right here. I think it would be interesting to see this because Vision in WandaVision in the Hex is an entity of Wanda's consciousness. And then the body outside of Westview that's coming in, like the white vision that comes in, it would be interesting if like they fought each other, and then Vision's entity in the Hex merged with the body of the Vision of the white vision, and then it became one. I think that would be kind of a cool like rebirth for him. And since he's not powered by the Mind Stone anymore, it would be kind of an escape because I think he's powered by something else that Hayward had put together, which I believe was Wanda's chaos magic, so that it still works.
Vision is powered by Wanda,
right? Which is great. I mean, that's they're in town. They're intertwined forever. Yeah, dude, like when that I was like, yo, what? My first thought was like Ultron 2, and I was like, maybe. But then I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't want to think about that. But I mean, like at some point we have to understand like why James Spader is on the cast list, and we haven't seen him yet. Like we're on episode 9, like we're about to be out.
Yeah, it could be fake leak stuff. I mean, some of that stuff is just fake. You never know, but
true. Mike, all you.
Well, and before Mike goes, I just want to throw this up for 1 second. The Paul Bettany talking about the special character he always wanted to work with.
Oh yeah.
You know, was it always himself? There's a little meme joke here that we threw up there that I thought was pretty funny. So yeah, I think Mike, you sent that to us. It's just. Maybe it was Paul and Paul. You know, he just always wanted to work with himself. Yeah. So that's what he got. So sorry, Mike, go ahead and hit your thoughts on this.
No. No, I thought it was, again, a little, I also thought White Vision looked cool. Yes. Like just being all white, it looked pretty badass. And there was one part, I'm with Eddie where I think a vision on vision fight is going to happen, and they somehow intertwine, and then you have the mind and the body kind of correlated. But the one thing I'm interested to see, if this white vision is powered by Wanda's magic, you'd have to think that she can control him right off the bat.
Right.
I mean, I could be wrong, but who knows? But I thought he looked really cool. And there was also the one interesting thing is if that was the body that they had ripped apart in the security scene, if that was his original body, if there's any part of that original Vision's like memory, because there was one part where he like looks at his hands, and it was almost as, I don't know if it was like, how am I alive, or what is happening sort of thing, but it was a very weird look that he gave himself, like what's going on. So it'd be interesting to see if like there's some original vision in there, you know, we'll see what happens. But it was still cool. He looked cool. I think it's gonna be cool. If there's a vision on fight, I'm all in. But yeah, it was a cool thing, and I think Hayward is, you know, still a terrible person.
Yeah, I mean, Hayward definitely has some jacked up motives. You know, I don't know where I'm gonna land on him. He's clearly evil in some planet for sure. I mean, I don't know what he's trying to do and why he would try to make this, and I could see it just going sideways where it could be Ultron. It could just be this fragment of, you know, in the West Coast Avengers one, it's Vision without like emotion, I think, is or something along those lines. So yeah, I think we'll get that Vision on Vision fight. I don't think Wanda will be able to control him because of the magic, only because, you know, she made a comment in when Vision left for the Night Watch where she's like, I can't control him. Like, what? So if she can't control that one, I think there is some certain parts about things she creates that maybe she can't fully control. And now that I think about it, and I just thought about this now, is I'm not sure she fully created that Vision within the Hex. Maybe it was her and the Mind Stone that created it. So if she truly can't control the Vision within the Hex, maybe that is a partial creation by the Mind Stone. So, and same thing with this White Vision, that, you know, it's the older version of Vision plus some of her magic. I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely stoked to see what comes out with this, because it should be fights all over the place. We got, you know, Photon or Spectre, whatever she's going to be. We've got witches fighting. We've got Visions fighting. We've got Sword still doing something. Potentially a cameo, maybe not. Maybe it was just Paul Bettany on Paul Bettany. But I will say that and I don't even know who made that quote, but whoever said that Luke Skywalker thing, if they don't come through on that, I will never listen to whoever that person is again.
It was Paul Bettany.
Was it Paul? I mean, unless he thinks
I thought it was Elizabeth Olsen. I thought she made that claim.
I
don't.
Whoever it was.
It was one or the other. It might be of both of them. Like, both of them might have come out and been like, "There's a Luke Skywalker cameo." But yeah, I'm with you. There's got to be. I mean, we have one episode left, so they got to do something.
Yeah, and if they think it's this White Vision,
I need something epic right now.
No, it's cool. The White Vision's awesome, but when you do a Luke Skywalker type thing in The Mandalorian, and then you say, "Oh, we've got something like that too," man, you better. That's a heavy burden, man. You better lift.
High bar.
Yeah, you better lift it. You better lift it.
High bar.
So, anyway, what else? You guys got anything else we didn't cover that you want to kind of hit on?
I think of anything.
The one thing, and we talked about it in text, and I don't know if it was just me, but I did think Agatha's mom looked like Dottie, just older.
A little bit. I'll give you that.
Like they put Dottie's actress in some like prosthetics that made her look like an old lady, because I didn't go back to it, but it felt like the ladies that were in that circle in the old, like the second episode where Wanda's, you know, in that group with all the ladies, it looked like some of the witches were part of that, but I could be wrong. I could just be like just correlating things in my mind, but I thought Agatha's mom looked like Dottie.
Interesting. Bit. I'm gonna have to look at that now. I'm gonna have to take a couple screenshots of those interactions.
I could be wrong. You could look in depth, but there was, when I was watching, I was like, "Is that Dottie?" The entire time.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a different actress, but that would be crazy if so. That would be, because those women in that group, I'm not sure we've really seen them much since then. And you know, we still did have Agatha saying in that scene, you know, Dottie's the one who runs, but it could have, who knows? It could have just been Agatha doing Agatha things.
Yeah,
and
I might be in my own head with it.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, Eddie, anything else from you?
Yeah, when Wanda watches herself recreate Vision in the 1950s era, and she's watching the two of them on the couch together, she's looking at them as if she has like no idea what's going on. Like, she did this, she had this huge outburst and everything was created, but she's looking at it wondering like, what did I do? Like, she's like, her face looked very confused from what I saw, and that's intriguing to me because I feel like
she blacked out.
Like it's almost like you have a selective memory of like what you choose to remember if like throughout the hex, and I mean that was one of the moments. And I mean, yeah, I mean, again, I just want to say like this is a really like emotional episode because like you get to see like the lows. There weren't really that many highs, but like the majority of lows through Wanda's life.
She's had a terrible life.
Yeah,
it's been rough. It's been a rough one. And but like I mean, like I think the one high that you saw was just the spark that Vision created off their conversation on the bed. I mean, that was like the one high moment that kind of made this whole thing great. Great episode though, personally.
Yeah.
It was really emotional.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
the last episode is also sad, so I'm setting myself up for a Infinity Stone-esque type, like, oh, maybe not. That's another level, but just kind of a, oh, this hurts. Like not not a, yay, we won, go super team. It's gonna be a, oh, okay, this is sad. Like, okay, all right,
Right.
I get, all right. Well, what's, oh. So anyway,
Which makes
Yeah,
sense.
I do think we won't get any sort of answers at the end of this. I think, like I said, I've always thought this is like a bridge to the movies, and I think we're gonna be like a cliffhanger, sort of like,
Right.
like we'll get a please stand by, and I'm gonna want to kill myself.
oh, dude, if that happens, I swear. Oh man, I mean, look. Oh, Mike, you even saying that is like, I feel my heart like raging.
That's gonna upset so many people.
I know we're gonna get a please stand by.
If you were right
I
on
know,
that,
I can
Mike,
feel
oh, dude.
Oh my god, it's gonna piss off so many people.
I'm mad him just saying it. You know, like
you need to have some like dramatic ending to lead into the next movie, and like it might happen. I don't want it to. No one does, but like I mean, it probably will, and we're gonna sit there and just be like, "Yep, saw that coming." Like, saw that coming.
oh man.
Oh god.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's what we got for episode 8 recap. So we appreciate you guys stopping by. Hammer down that like button, click the notification bell, click the subscription button, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you guys next time, and thanks for stopping by. Laters.